Hello. I'll try and be as quick as possible here. This is a quick way for you to refresh, remind you of the workshop where we will have done for drypoint printmaking and colle through Lupine Studios. So I just want to quickly go through what I will go through with you in the class, and yeah, show you a little bit. I'll give you a quick couple of demonstrations to give you some examples of what's possible with this very limited approach to printmaking. There's nothing fancy about it, no acid, no etching, but you can get great results. This is always what amazes me about art in general, is that from a few very small basics, you can scale up to using those same basics to incredibly complex and emergent qualities. And to me, that's what art is about. It is nothing more than the simple basics of drawing and scaling those basics up. And the same sort of thing happens in terms of technique in printmaking. So come on over, I'll show you, refresh you, or show you what we have here. Here's a press. I'll be bringing this press to the printmaking workshop. It's all set up, ready to go. It's with these that you tension the press, the roller, and I've got it set up to perfectly accommodate this width of plate here. These are the blankets. They're meant to be in a particular order. There's pusher blankets, and then there's the blanket that's meant to lay on the plate. What's happening is that you're scratching or etching. If it were etching, this is how intaglio works. You're scratching a plate. In this case, it's just plexiglass. This is some ancient smelly mammal. I'll print that with a spoon if I can later on, rather than the press. What happens is that you moisten the paper. Here I've got some paper that's wet in a plastic bag waiting to be run through the press. You moisten the paper and you dry it, dab it dry. It's still damp, of course, and you lay it on the plate. You'll see me do that. And then you run it through the press under pressure, back, forth. I like a lot of pressure. This is the bed. You can see here how I've used a piece of acetate with paper underneath it, which make sure that's clean. With which I've got registration marks for all the different sizes of paper that I use, so that I can place the paper in the plate in the center of the paper. I like to keep a cloth handy because I'm going to get a damp cloth, microfiber cloth handy because I will get ink on my hands when I'm inking. I'm using, and we will use in the workshop, Akua inks. I never use these. In some ways I don't like them, but in a lot of ways I do like them. They don't dry until they're on paper, so I can, this plate has had ink on it for months, possibly years, and it doesn't dry on the plexi or on a metal plate. You will need. I have the other interesting thing is it won't dry when this is a wiping material that is saturated in ink. And I can just literally ink the plate with this saturated cloth. I rarely have to, I don't always have to dip into my ink. And as a result, if anybody of you have worked with the normal oil-based inks, every time you open up the pot, you have to rip off a skin that is formed on it, and it's a huge problem. Here's colle materials. I use this to, I will rip a picture from a book here, for example, and do a quick colle of it, and I'll use rice paste to make sure that the glue that I've put on is very, very thin. And I put it on with a spatula. Here's some various scribes. Here's the type of plates we'll be using for the workshop. You have to peel the plastic off, but you simply scratch them like a drawing. And of course, here we are. Here's a larger piece. If you have a drawing, you can simply lay the plexiglass sheet on the drawing, and you can then scratch it with one of these with a scribe. Now I'm just going to give you nails. Sorry about that. I've sharpened them up wickedly, or as wicked as I can. Here's one that's just a chunk of metal, that's been machined to a sharp point. But you can buy these types of things at art supply stores. This one is this is 45 years old. It's from when I was studying printmaking in college. A lovely hard machined spiral scribe, but it's worn down a fair bit. It's a lot smaller than it was, from constant sharpening. These are ones that I get for between $5 and $10 at Costco or Home Depot, and here's another one, and they work quite well. Occasionally you have to sharpen them. I have a whetstone, and I'll bring that in as well. Okay, what else? I think that's all. You can see, here's an inked plate. You can see how you can almost see the image, because this has been run through the press already, but you can almost see the drawing through the plate. Oh, here, I'll go over here and show you another. Here's what I'm working on. And what I do is I scratch it. I've turned it upside down here so that I can see what it will look like more or less finished. That's the side up that I'm working on. And of course, I'm using a pencil here, but I simply scratch it. You can see my scratch marks. Then what I can do is take that same ink-soaked cloth, wipe it over the lines that I've scratched, and then I actually wipe them off with a piece of paper, and then I can see what I've done. And that's sort of how it works. It's a little bit more difficult to do this on copper, but it works on copper as well. I mean, originally this scratching dry point technique is done on copper plates, and they have their own wonderful qualities as well. The same plates that you would etch. But this stuff is much cheaper. I can use both sides of it, and I usually do. Most of my plates, it's much easier to use it just once, but I'm very conservation minded, so I actually use both plates. So before we start, I'll just quickly, I'm going to have dirt on my hands, show you a few examples of, intaglio printmaking. That's printmaking that uses a press like that. What happens is that the ink goes into the plate. You wipe the ink into the plate, and then you wipe it off with this wiping material here, very deftly. So you don't take the ink out of the plate. Then you run it through the press under pressure. The blankets and the moist paper are pressed down into the cracks, and that's how you get the line quality. And this is just a straight dry point print. I have these are all straight dry point prints. I have tinted them with watercolour, to give them a kind of sometimes a bit of colour even, sometimes I'll do a dry point print and I can actually draw on it. But of course, then it's one of one. It's these are both drawn on. Dry point is different than etching. This is an etching. I love etching. You probably can't see it, but I'll show you in the studio. There's a lovely kind of a ragged quality to an etched line. I find that using the Aqua inks gives me something closer to that quality of an etched line, but I can't actually etch. I can't do an aqua tint, which has been put on here. I love etching, but it's a lot more expensive, a lot more complicated, and I'm trying to do things on the cheap. Size really doesn't matter. These are dry point prints. I went to the local college to take courses to use their presses, and they have a massive old brand press from New York. And as you can see, these are huge prints, you know, and the paper I printed on them on is actually even larger. But I taped them down and that. So here's, you know, the other thing we can do is chincolle. You know, so for example, here I've cut up some, you know, I've got just a dry point print, and I've cut up colored paper, newspaper, and I've glued it and put it, you know, on the plate upside down and printed on it, and it becomes a kind of a seamless, you know, wonderfully seamless image. But I can also, you know, print on Japanese paper and then rip up and collage my own prints into prints, or spray paint on it, you know, which I've done here. So yeah, there's some examples of stuff. Is that chincolle? That might be chincolle there. This is all chincolle. The whole thing, you know, I've printed on the Japanese paper over and over, and then I've chincolled and printed it onto a print, and then I've used watercolor to tint it further. So you know, the possibilities are endless, from just straight drawing to applying textures and tones. Quick running down on printing. So you've got intaglio printing, which consists of etching, drypoint, mezzotint, and you know, basically those are the things. Have I forgotten something? But you can do things like chincolle on it as well. Chincolle. But there's also, I mean, there's also printmaking. I mean, silk screening. That's a silk screen. Problem with silk screen is that if I'm going to do an edition of 5 or 10 or 20, I have to print the whole damn lot at once. That's a lot of, you know, I'd be spending hundreds of dollars in paper. With intaglio printmaking, if I keep the plate, or the fancy people call it a matrix, I can print it on demand. You know, I can just print, you know, that's what I generally do. I just print one image of my plate, and I don't print anymore until I'm ready to. You know, maybe a show or somebody buys the one that I have. There's other printmaking methods. Oh, this is silk screen as well. But what I've done is I silk screen tons of silk screens onto thin Japanese paper, and then chincolled them into a intaglio print. So there's dry point there, and there's chincolle. There's one other printmaking method. Now silk screen works. It's a, what's the word? It's a stencil, basically. It's very, so it's generally you can draw with it, as you can see here, but generally it, you know, it's a coarser line, and it works very well for flat things. It's the only hand-pulled printmaking method that is oh, there's my phone. Maybe I'll hang on a second. Okay, it's the only printmaking method by hand that is in fact commercially viable. I mean, you can do T-shirts, clothing, posters. Oh, is it Jess? Oh, hi. Oh, this is a call from. Hi, Jess. I'm making a video, but that's okay. I'm right here. It's good. You're going to be in it. Is there paper there at the studio? Oh, okay. That'll be great. Yeah, and I'll be able to find it down there. Yeah. Okay. And I'll try and get some newspapers from my parents or someone. Yeah. I do. I'm not sure. Let me think about that. What kind of printmaking? Relief? Mm-hmm. I'll think about that. It's when is it? Okay, I'll get back to you on that. I'll get back to you on that, Jess. Oh, okay, great. Thanks. Bye-bye. yes, that's Jess from Lupine, for whom I'm doing this workshop, and I was trying to get some newspaper for colle. Anyway, sorry about that. There's one other method, and that is lithography. And lithography is has the same problem. It uses a stone, but you have to print your whole edition at once. Otherwise, the stone, like the screen, you know, these are expensive objects, and you have to clean them off. Whereas the plate, you know, once you've made a plate, you keep it on hand, and it's a bit of a hassle. You have to store all these plates. You know, there's all my plates stored down there, but I've got others. I've got big ones all down in the basement, which if I ever have to print them again, I'll bring up. So what I'm going to do before, I'm going to actually split this into 2 videos. That was just a general introduction, and I'll send you, I'll put a note on this video to suggest that you don't have to watch it. The next one where there's the demonstration will be more important. But if you wanted to just to go over the quick introduction to printmaking, this video might be worth watching, even with interruptions. In my studio, I've got little stations